This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Christopher Mitchell, 212th Trooper, Sylar 1610, and Justice Tregor. As the face of the world's highest-grossing media franchise with his adorable red cheeks, pointy ears, and lightning bolt-shaped tail, Pikachu is known around the world, with no Pikachu being more iconic than Ash Ketchum's best buddy and co-protagonist of the Pokémon anime. However, after over 25 years in the spotlight, it's easy for some details to slip through the cracks, either because they aren't highlighted as much as they otherwise might be, or are simply forgotten amidst all the other information provided about the little yellow guy. As a result, I'm here to bring you 10 things you didn't know about Ash Ketchum's Pikachu, ranging from Pikachu's dalliances with the dark side, to what the electric rodent and screen legend Patrick Stewart have in common. But without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 1. Pikachu was once a member of Team Rocket. While this may sound like the premise for a fanfic or what if, this actually did happen in canon, specifically during the Hoenn arc. In the Season 7 episode A Scared to Remember, Pikachu is temporarily afflicted with amnesia, following yet another of Team Rocket's schemes gone wrong, during which time he is separated from Ash and instead finds himself alone with Meowth. When the devious Scratch Cat realizes Pikachu has lost all his memories, he capitalizes on this to convince him that he is a member of Team Rocket, with Pikachu having no reason to doubt the only person he's ever met and one who seems to know him well. As a result, he does not hesitate to join Meowth in rendezvousing with Jessie and James, both of whom are ecstatic to have the bane of their existence now on their side. While at first Pikachu is hesitant to trust the pair of human criminals, he is eventually convinced to by a little prodding from Meowth, so that when they encounter Ash and Co a while later, not only does the electric rodent side with Team Rocket and partake in their motto, but he actually sends Ash blasting off for a change. Thankfully, this heel turn is short-lived, as when Ash makes a second attempt to rescue Pikachu from the clutches of Team Rocket, the pair wind up falling from a great height into a rushing river, and when they wash up, Pikachu's memories are restored, and he is back to being Ash's trusty best friend. So I guess it goes to show, the cure for head trauma is more head trauma. I wonder how many trips to the ER were born from teaching kids that. Number 2. Pikachu's cries do actually mean something. While it would be easy to believe that the Pikas, P's, and Chews that come out of Pikachu's mouth are entirely random, and that they're just sounds the electric type makes like most Pokemon on the show, this is in fact incorrect, as many of these actually have a meaning depending on how they're being strung together, and can even be translated. For example, have you ever noticed that Pikachu will often cry Pika P in relation to Ash? That is because he is actually saying the closest thing he can to Satoshi, Ash's Japanese name. If you don't believe me, here they are side by side. Pika P, Satoshi. However, Ash's name is not the only consistent string of cries Pikachu has to convey meaning, with a few others being Pikachu P for Kasumi, which is Misty's Japanese name, and PPP for Togepi. Admittedly, with such a limited vocabulary, some of these aren't as obvious as others, such as Pikachu for Team Rocket, and Pika Pika for several of Ash's Pokemon including Squirtle, Infernape, and Palpitoad. Nonetheless, it's impressive the level of detail the people working on the anime put into keeping this detail consistent, when Pikachu could have just as easily been spouting gibberish. Though I will warn you, knowing that Pikachu is desperately calling Ash's name does make the scene where he's turned into stone in the first movie all the more tragic. Number 3. Pikachu's gym record. As one of Ash's most prominent partners and the only Pokemon to have accompanied him to each region, it stands to reason that Pikachu would have been used in more gym battles than any of Ash's other Pokemon, though the exact number of matches the spunky electric rodent has been used in may come as a bit of a surprise. Including rematches, Pikachu has been used in 46 official gym battles, 4 Battle Frontier matches, and 4 Island Trial battles, giving him 54 matches against a gym leader or other equivalent trainer. In terms of percentage, since Ash is engaged in 84 of these types of battles across the series, this means he relied on Pikachu 64% of the time. However, this is not all, as on top of being Ash's most used Pokemon, Pikachu also has the longest continual streak of back-to-back gym battles without sitting one out, having participated in 15 straight gym battles from Naval Island to Rustboro City, meaning it took 201 episodes to get a gym battle without Pikachu, and spent almost all of the Orange Islands arc, the entirety of Johto, and into the Advanced series, lasting almost 4 real-world years, from April 22nd, 1999 to April 10th, 2003. Number 4. Pikachu's unique evolution. For almost as long as Pikachu has been in the anime, it has been established that he does not wish to evolve, with this being proven in Electric Shock Showdown and then again in Pika and Goliath over 500 episodes later. However, Pikachu has in fact evolved once before, having gone from a Pichu to a Pikachu following the introduction of the baby form in Gen 2. Though this is not the unique or interesting part. What is the manner in which Pichu became Pikachu, considering Pichu is a friendship evolution, and Pikachu was not caught until after he evolved. This seeming inconsistency was explained during the first episode of Pokemon Journeys, Enter Pikachu, in which the audience was shown for the first time Pikachu's life prior to becoming Ash's starter. As part of this, Pikachu as a Peach who was fostered by a Kangaskhan and raised alongside her Joey, with them establishing a deep familial bond. It was through this friendship that Pichu was eventually able to evolve into Pikachu, with this evolution being one of a kind, as rather than the bond between trainer and Pokemon, it was the friendship of two wild Pokemon that spurred on that evolution, something that has not been seen before or since, truly making Ash's Pikachu unique. Number 5. Pikachu's gender reveal. While nowadays it seems obvious that Ash's Pikachu is male, as he has the flat tail top that all male Pikachu have, in contrast to the heart-shaped one found on female Pikachu, this was not always the case, as prior to Generation 4, Pikachu did not have a gender difference. As a result, it was never officially stated one way or the other what gender Ash's Pikachu was, and while hints were present, such as the various dubs making allusions to Pikachu being male, and him even using a masculine speech pattern in the Japanese version of the Island of Giant Pokemon when the meaning of his and the other Pokemon's words were shown on screen, it was not until the 608th episode of the anime, where no Togepi has gone before, that Pikachu was explicitly shown to be male, due to being affected by a female Togepi's attract. Since then there has been no ambiguity, with the anime referencing Pikachu's gender in future episodes, such as Beauties Battling for Pride and Prestige, in which Pikachu had to wear a fake tail cover to pass as female, and a plethora of Pikachu, where he and a Pompadour sporting Pikachu named the Boss compete for the attention of a female Pikachu named Curly. However, it is surprising to think that for almost half of the series' run, this aspect of one of the show's main characters was left up to interpretation. Now, before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, since currently, less than half of my regular viewers are subscribed, and it really helps out the channel with the YouTube algorithm. Not to mention, liking a video tells YouTube that it's good and should be shared with a wider audience, which in turn helps the channel to grow. But with that said, let's get back to the list. Number 6. How Pikachu gets new moves. Throughout the anime, Pikachu has used a total of 12 unique moves, not counting Z moves and Max moves, as they are variants of his existing attacks. Though what most people may not know is that there is a pattern to when he acquires new electric type moves. Since the start of the anime, Pikachu has only learned electric moves during odd-numbered generations, having acquired Thunder during Generation 1, Volt Tackle in Gen 3, Electro Ball in Gen 5, and Electro Web in Gen 7. Interestingly, prior to gaining Electro Web in Gen 7, each of these moves were introduced in the generation Pikachu acquired them, likely as a means to advertise that generation's new electric attacks, though in the case of Electro Web, it first appeared in Gen 5. The reason for this is likely because Gen 7 didn't introduce any new offensive electric moves that Pikachu could learn, and the only one introduced in Generation 6 was Nuzzle, which would be a massive step down in power from Electro Ball, resulting in needing to go back to Gen 5 to find a worthy successor to the move. Number 7. Pikachu the Copycat. Throughout the series, Ash's Pikachu has shown a distinct knack for imitating other Pokemon, and even humans, by contorting his face, ears, and on some occasions even his body to create his impressions. While this talent was most prominently displayed in the Diamond and Pearl episode All Dressed Up with Somewhere to Go, in which Pikachu used this to help Ash participate in the Pokemon dress-up contest, it's actually a skill he's been displaying since Kanto, with his first impersonation being of Bulbasaur as a means to communicate with Ash that the grass starter had been kidnapped during Bulbasaur's mysterious garden. In total, Pikachu has mimicked 36 Pokemon across the series, ranging from his teammates to the extinct Pokemon of Hisui, as well as doing impressions of both Ash and Brock, with this talent being one that sets him apart from other Pokemon, and is a great showing of his versatility as more than just a battler, but also an entertainer and in some cases communicator. Number 8. He wasn't always a Pikachu. Considering how iconic Pikachu is now, it's hard to imagine anyone but him as Ash's trusty partner, though in the original concept for the anime there were plans for a very different Pokemon to be Ash's starter. At the time, Pokemon as a franchise didn't have a definitive mascot, with the Kanto starters being the closest thing, as each had been a box art mascot for Pokemon Red and Blue in the West, and Red and Green in Japan. However, to pick one of them as the face of the upcoming Pokemon anime would elevate them above the other two, something they presumably did not want to do, but have since gotten over if the focus on a certain fire-breathing lizard in recent years is anything to go by. Subsequently, other members of the original 150 Pokemon were considered, with it ultimately being settled on that Clefairy would be the protagonist starter Pokemon, just like in the Pokemon Pocket Monsters manga, which at the time was the only Pokemon manga, since Pokemon Adventures would not begin publication until a month before the anime's release. Though, before this decision could be enacted, the choice was made to switch from Clefairy to the manga's other partner Pokemon, that being Pikachu, due to it being more gender neutral, and having both cute and cool aspects in contrast to Clefairy's more traditional traditionally feminine cute design. And just like that, one of the most iconic duos in media was formed, though it does beg the question, what would the anime have been like if Clefairy had stayed as Ash's starter? Number 9. The origin of the surprised Pikachu meme. If you're the kind of person who is watching this video, you've probably come across the surprised Pikachu meme somewhere along the way, though despite its prevalence in pop culture, most people don't actually know what caused our favourite electric rodent to make such a shocked expression. As it turns out, the meme originated all the way back in episode 10 of the anime, Bulbasaur and the Hidden Village, which was also the episode that introduced Ash as Bulbasaur. As part of that introduction, Bulbasaur was initially hostile towards Ash, with the boy using Butterfree to battle it. However, when Ash attempted to have his first capture use sleep powder, Bulbasaur performed an improvised whirlwind attack to blow the powder back into Butterfree's face, putting it to sleep instead, with Pikachu's reaction to this turnabout being what would years later become a beloved meme. Number 10. Pikachu's real name. Believe it or not, Ash's Pikachu does have a nickname, or at least, he does in the Electric Tale of Pikachu manga, which is loosely based on the Pokémon anime, and follows a slightly different version of Ash and Pikachu. During the run of the manga, Ash reveals that he has given nicknames to all of his Pokémon, with it coming to light that Pikachu's name is Jean-Luc Pikachu. This is clearly a reference to Captain Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation, as seen by the fact that in the panel where this name is revealed, Pikachu is seen wearing a little next-gen era Starfleet comm badge, while Misty calls the name choice engaging, a play on Picard often using engage as the command to take the Enterprise to warp. No official reasoning has ever been given for why this name was chosen, with the most probable answer being that it was a play on how Pikachu and Picard share the same first two syllables, but this is just a guess. Ultimately though, this decision, like many in that manga, will have to be chalked up to the bizarre and wacky tone that pervaded the Electric Tale of Pikachu, and we can at least take comfort in the knowledge that from the look on his face, Jean-Luc Pikachu likes his name. And that about wraps up our list. Let me know in the comments how many of these pieces of trivia you already knew, along with any other Pikachu facts I may have missed. Also, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it in the future, share it with your friends and drop a like down below. And with that, I will see you when the journey continues.